weeks back, I made a short video on how so many people get stuck in the 150 to 200K salary range, and then their career tends to plateau because there needs to be a big shift in the way you are doing things at work for you to overcome that plateau. And I have received so many DMs around it. I have received so many friends of mine who are not actually clients also say that, yes, this is one of the most difficult plateau for them to overcome. They don't know how to go about with it. And because it was a very short video, I just laid down the 3 steps you can do it, but I did not have the time to go in depth with those 3 steps. So those 3 steps were visibility, stop being the executioner, and the last one was influence rather than expertise. Now, I'm going to break down all these things and how you can start applying them in your workplace, because I would hate if you get stuck in this for the rest of your career. And I've seen people spend decades until they retire in this particular bracket. Yes, they may have the regular 3-4% salary increase to beat the inflation, especially here in Singapore. That's where the inflation typically lies. But it's not the best place to be in. You don't have a seat at the table, and it, after a while, becomes very difficult to get out of it because you get pigeonholed in this particular bracket. So let's go into this in detail in today's video. Hi, my name is Shub. I am a career coach and a job search strategist, and I'm also a former corporate recruiter. I am your career growth partner. I'm also a LinkedIn top voice, so do follow me over there. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel. I have also recently started my public Instagram account to be able to answer some short questions that you may have. So feel free to follow me there and join me in one of the Ask Me Anything sessions. So moving to our question, how do you get out of the 150 to 200K plateau? My number one advice, and the easiest one to implement, is increasing visibility, both internally within the organization and externally. Now, let's break it down further. Internal. For internal visibility, I actually have a whole video around it, but I will summarize for you in short. If you think there's value, just go and check that video out as well. So I developed this framework, and it's from my work with corporates, it's from my work with senior leaders, it's also from my work with people who've successfully managed to come out of this plateau, called ECG. What does ECG stand for? Educate, collaborate, get help. So let's explore further. Educate. If you're working on something which can value a number of stakeholders, it's your responsibility to be talking about this. I know a lot of people think just creating this amazing tool, this amazing project, this amazing process is enough. But I've been on the other side of the table as well. I speak to a lot of senior leaders as well, and they would talk about, we implemented this amazing thing, but it wasn't adopted. Why? Because you forgot to educate everyone about it. And companies do change management initiatives for that. A lot of companies do that, but if you've been part of the process, you also have to educate. Try to reach out to as many people, and the more senior they are, the better, because then they would have influence and you would have a lot more credibility if you are backed by them. Let them know what you've worked on. How can it help them? Not about yourself. And see how further you can help them to enhance it, to make their processes better. Everybody is looking at making their work better, how it helps them to reach their business goals. So educate is easy because you are telling them about something which you've done, which can help them and their teams. Don't restrict yourself geographically. What happens to a lot of people is, look, after a certain level, your promotions are not determined by your immediate manager or people in your specific geography. Then it becomes regional, global, whatever have you. If stakeholders at that level don't even know that you exist, chances are you will not get tapped on for bigger opportunities. Now, when you use educate to tell them, you're telling them that you're constantly creating impact in your current role. Second one is collaborate. Reach out to stakeholders who you are directly responsible for, and ask them, how can my team help you further? Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, my manager blocks that. So you need to speak to your manager around it and say, I've had fantastic people who launched a tool and use that as an excuse to start reaching out to senior people, or they would ask people out for coffee to understand what's happening. Don't let this manager who's sitting on top of you, whether it's he or she is ambitious or not, to stop your career progress. So go out and ask people, what is it that I can do to help you to meet your goals? Again, everybody is looking for what's in it for them. And the last one is get help. So underrated and so powerful. For a lot of senior people, they've reached a stage in their career where they've reached at a certain level, they are happy with their career and they want to give back. When somebody who has a couple of decades or more left in their career reaches out to them and tells them what they want to do, whether it's for the business, but even personally for them, they do help out. If you haven't tried, do try it. Of course, you need an angle. You can't reach out to random people, and don't formalize it. Like I see so much I see so many people making this mistake where they reach out to very senior people and say, can you be my mentor? No, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth. But if you start with asking a few quick questions or a 10-15 minutes call, and then build from there time and time and time, they become your mentor anyway. If you keep them updated with what's happening. What a lot of people do is, if it's not a formal mentorship agreement, then I'm not going back to this person. And that's the fastest way for them to lose interest in your progress and success. So these are some of the factors which can help you build your visibility internally in your organization. I haven't gone down in all the details. You have another video to do that. The second is external visibility. If you build a reputation for your specific function in your industry, you are very valuable to your organization then. So if you're attending conferences, you are being invited for panel discussions, you are constantly being approached to represent your company, of course, let them know firstly, because I know a lot of MNCs have their own protocols, but if they see that you're being identified as an industry leader, as a thought leader, they start valuing you more and more. In today's day and age, brand becomes very important. And for companies too. Companies value people who have a high reputation. I was speaking to somebody very, very senior, just last Friday, actually. And she said that she's been very lucky in her career because she's been going out, speaking a lot, has somewhat of a brand. Whenever the company or organization needs to launch something and they need to build credibility, usually they tap on her because she has that credibility in the industry. So use that to your advantage as well. Again, check out my video on increasing visibility, and I have a ton of content on building your brand. The second major shift you need to do is get out of executioner mode and get into the strategic mode. Yes, you don't want to be the person who gets things done. A couple of weeks back, a client of mine told me, and it's such a, these kind of stories break my heart. He was being offered a fantastic position in the headquarters in the US, and his manager blocked it because he said, who will help me get things done in Asia? And this client, I've been working with him for a few months. A few months back, he told me, rather with a lot of pride and a badge of honor, that, I had to take a long leave due to medical reasons, and they needed 3 people to cover my work. And in that moment as well, I told him that, look, if you have made yourself indispensable as the doer of a role, not indispensable in terms of thinking, but as a doer, you are not giving them a motivation to promote you. They think you're happy where you are. After a certain stage, it's not about getting things done. It's about getting others to do things for you. That's the third topic, but you need to get out of the executioner mode. Why? Because if you're always in the work, in the weeds, cutting it, you don't have the bandwidth to think strategically. You can't think about what do I need to do. It's the same thing in my business as well. Whenever I go very much deep into in the business mode, I'm doing workshop after workshop and clients after clients and engagement after engagement, I realize firstly, I'm super exhausted to do any thinking work and my business revenue starts declining. Why? Because I haven't thought strategically. As a business, it's not in my advantage for me to be the prime executioner. So businesses hire these executioners and want them to stay at a certain level. If you've now pigeonholed yourself as the executioner, then you really need to start coming out of it and start asking yourself, how can you become a more strategic person? And that brings us to point number 3. Don't tap on your expertise, tap on influence. Now, you need to be a little bit entrepreneurial in your organization to think, who can I tap onto to get this done? How can I use other people, whether they are directly reporting to you or in other teams, to influence them and get things done? Maybe somebody who is slightly more junior to you to start taking on these responsibilities because it gives them a little bit more visibility as well. It was so heartening for me to hear just recently someone sharing with me that she started taking on a little bit more strategic work. So she's in the same range, and she's been talking about it on LinkedIn, and she realized she needed more resource. And of course, these are very trying times. They did not have the budget. So she approached business leaders for 2, 3 different teams to collectively come together and build this budget. So it's not on a central budget and it's not on just one person's business team. And she got the approval for it. So you need to start thinking again strategically. You need to know who needs what. And that's where your visibility works comes into play. But if you really want to be a business leader, you need to start thinking like a leader. You need to be resourceful. You need to take risks. You need to look at things in a more big picture way rather than these are my set of responsibilities and this is what I'm supposed to do. A lot of the work, I have these clients who are in mid-level and they would be like, this senior person of mine, I don't think he does a lot. Actually, it's his job to not do a lot. His job is to make sure he has time to think, he has time to meet people. He's the key person of influence for whatever that function is, internally and externally. And the best time he can spend is building those relationships, finding the right people, making sure whenever he needs resources, he has already lined up everything for those resources. He doesn't need to be the executioner. He needs to be the strategic person, the influencer, or she needs to be the influencer or strategic person. So they are doing the right thing. We just don't understand at that mid-management level. So I hope this video has inspired you to start thinking differently about your career if you reach that mid-management level. You don't want to be plateaued here. It's a big shift you need to make mentally. Start with the easiest step of visibility. If you need help at this stage, I feel you need to have all these 3 groups of people: mentors without a formal mentorship, advocates. So senior people who have been trusted mentor for a while, they start talking about you when you are not in the room, when big opportunities are being discussed, when big promotions are being talked about. So you need to have them as your advocates, and you need to take these steps to be able to do that. And coaches help too. So if you need help, reach out to these 3 groups of people and get your career sorted. I sometimes see people scrimping, saving pennies and then losing the dollars. Don't be one of those. Invest in yourself, invest in your career. And when I say invest, I'm talking about learning some of the most critical skills: public speaking, building visibility, managing your brand, including internal and external, because these will be the most important skills you would have moving forward. Handling difficult communication, talking to difficult stakeholders, cultural nuances. So start investing in those journeys as well, because after a certain level, everything is about managing people. Okay, so that's me signing off. I know it became a bit long, but I thought this was a very, very important topic for us to cover. I hope you take some pointers from this video and start implementing them ASAP. All the best in your career. That's me signing off, always rooting for you. This is Shub, your career growth partner.